Don't focus on the outcome, focus on the process. If you're not loving the process, like, this is not the thing for you.
No PRs are going to like me saying this, but you also don't want to be seen as that person who just comes to everything.
I fucking hate Fashion Week. I feel grateful for my little stint in television because I think it did build me a bit of quite a hard skin.
Welcome to the Decode Sessions, where we unpack fashion and culture in a way that makes sense to your 70-year-old mum and your 7-year-old daughter. You know the drill by now. Have you ever wondered what it takes to build a career as a content creator? How do some people make it? How long does one have to be patient? What are the pitfalls? Today, we're chatting with Kavita Cola, a creator who has successfully navigated the ever-evolving social media landscape. We get an inside look at what being a content creator really means today, from the brands she collaborates with to how she structures her day and how she thinks about monetization. Kavita, welcome to the show. I am so happy to have you here today. We talk quite often, but I feel like I rarely get the time to sit down and really quiz you on your world. And I think many with me are really curious about the kind of what's actually going on behind the scenes in the life of someone like yourself, in the life of an influencer, content creator, stylist. What can we call you?
Yeah, I think all three really. I think influencer works. I know not everyone loves that phrase, but I think it makes sense.
I think that makes perfect sense, and then it's easy for everyone to understand.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that you're good with that, but I thought you might be. How did you enter this world? How did it all start?
So I have been doing it for a while now. I would say I've been influencing or present on social media for 10 years, kind of from the beginning-ish.
Yeah.
But I did start off as a stylist or assistant stylist. So I went to St. Martin's, I studied fashion, which, as you might know, is like one of the best places to study fashion. I got my degree there, and then I went on to work for various different magazines and assisting stylists. I loved it, and I was assisting at a very high level. So I was, assisting, some big stylists with big magazines and big fashion campaigns. But it wasn't, it kind of wasn't all what I kind of expected it to be, and the bubble was a little bit burst out there. And I feel like at the time there were a few people around me influencing, and it all did seem a bit ridiculous, the notion of getting photos taken of you and your clothes and just posting them online to this like oblivion, which at the time felt like it, but obviously now it's like a very legit thing, and it just sort of went on from there.
So we're talking the kind of age of the fashion bloggers. That sort of.
I was a little bit late to the party. But I was before the big COVID boom. Of influencers.
And how did it all begin? Like, how does one get a following? How does it start?
Well, I started posting. Obviously, I was in the world of PRs and speaking to various different brands, so I was kind of already quite in tune with, being able to get new things and borrow pieces and being in contact with these PRs from all my experience of being assisting stylists. And I was also working with art directors at Spring Studios before, so I was very aware.
I used to work at Spring Studios.
I think we've had this conversation before.
Have we? Well,
yeah.
That's my brain nowadays, which is incredibly foggy.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's like the first time I hear it, and you're like, yeah, Anna, we've spoken about this.
Yeah.
Classically.
But I got some incredible experience there because I was working with art directors, so we were looking at kind of fashion campaigns and curating them, and I was sometimes the stylist on some of the ones they had in house. So I was in the world of image making and making things look good and getting things right on camera. So I think that helped and gave me a bit of a start.
So you started posting, and you had a blog as well. You have a
little bit.
Did you have a WordPress blog?
I did have a WordPress. I still have got a WordPress blog, but obviously it's not the focus now.
Yeah.
But then I know what you're going to ask me. I did go.
I want to talk about the TV show.
Do you know what? When I was in my mid-20s, I was talking about with the styling thing, I wasn't really sure what I was getting from that. So an opportunity kind of landed on my lap, and it was like a risk like a social risk, and also, you know, with family and stuff like that, it was quite a kind of out there thing to do, is to agree to go on a reality television show.
So tell us, for those who don't know, tell us what it was. So it's a type of Made in Chelsea.
Exactly, it was from the same producers of Made in Chelsea and The Only Way is Essex, but it was a show that was but started by Gurinder Chadha, who's quite a sort of well-known British Asian director, writer. She wrote Bend It Like Beckham, I think. Yeah, she wrote Bend It Like Beckham. So I kind of just took a bit of a leap of faith and agreed to do it. I was also single at the time, and I felt like I didn't really have much to lose in terms of a family, and you know, I'm a good person, so I didn't really have anything to lose by going on it.
And was it all positive?
It was all positive. I personally think I came off great on it.
Yeah.
But there were some moments where I think I was sort of mixed with I didn't know everybody there, so there was this sort of storyline that everyone was kind of having to make real. So it was kind of, it is like part reality, part not.
Yeah.
And I was put into some situations that I had no real feeling or affiliation towards, but I kind of didn't overthink it. I mean, it just was what it was. It was a bit weird, but I think I came across okay on it.
Would you do it again?
Fuck no.
No. Life has evolved since, and I mean, if we fast forward, so I think what I'm trying to get to is that gave you a little bit of a kickstart. I think you said to me that gave you your first 10,000 followers, and then the rest has kind of followed.
I think I just started the blog at that time, and there were some people around me who had been on reality TV, and I kind of was like, well, maybe if I'm doing this online and finally becoming my own curator of the things I like and beauty and giving this thing a go, then going on a show but not kind of screaming about that online will be a good match. So I did it from that perspective as well.
And it clearly worked. And then how long has it taken you to get to I think a lot of people wonder, like, how long does it take? How patient do I need to be? How does one go viral? And I think the answer to that is virality rarely happens, and if it does, it's quite short-sighted. Like, it's better to grow over time, isn't it? And you grow through consistency. And I think you've told me you have a really loyal follower group, a lot of them in the British Asian community. I feel like you become a little bit of maybe like a style icon to
that's really kind. I mean, look, I maybe I am. I definitely have quite a good and strong, loyal, predominantly British Asian, London-centric following. But yeah, I mean, focusing, I think definitely in the last 2 to 3 years, this like obsession with virality has become a real thing. And I don't know the answer to it. I don't know many people who do. I'm sure there's loads of like online sites that are going to charge you kind of £5 a month to find it. But what's always worked for me, and possibly, you know, I mean, look, there's always further to go. So wherever you're at, you're always thinking, oh, why am I not there? But what always has worked for me is, like, not to sound really cheesy, but just being authentic. Like, I'm only capable of what I can give out. I'm not capable of like cheating the system or doing anything else other than me. Like, if you're putting yourself online, I think you've got a responsibility to put across what you want to put across.
I don't think that's cheesy at all. You know, that is textbook advice. And if you were to go on to Business of Fashion or Vogue Business or one of these sort of industry publications and read an article about, you know, the future of influencer marketing and how influencers should survive or can survive in this like really sort of crowded marketplace, the first thing that you can read in any of those articles is consistency is key, and being authentic and being true to yourself, because your followers will see through if you have too much of a strategy. And I mean, I'm sitting here telling you this, what the fuck do I know? I mean, I'm not an influencer.
You know a lot.
I'm kind of saying it from the textbook perspective. I'm saying it from what we put into our presentations to our brands, but I think you are also... You're effectively saying the same thing, that you are you, and we've spoken about this. Your followers react really well to the things you do that are you. And me, being one of your followers, really love when you clean your bloody kitchen counter after a Saturday night with your family.
It's an acquired taste, this sort of personal stuff. But I mean, I know that I've got some really good blogger friends of mine that have always just communicated through the guise of fashion, beauty, and it's been very strict, and they've grown exponentially doing that. I always just put myself online. Maybe that was because of the reality TV start, I'm not sure, or maybe that's just what I felt it was the natural thing to do. But not that I haven't strategized what I've done, but I mean, it's kind of been a mixture of both. People want to know. I mean, when I had my kids, I sort of portrayed and showed my very natural, authentic journey so far, but then obviously peppered in with all the stuff I love, which is fashion, beauty. I've been really grateful now to learn a lot about beauty, having worked with really big brands and having access to a lot of stuff that, you know, it's not normal to have access to.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the brand work, but before that, I think if we've now kind of gone from to how it started, and we're making our way through your career as an influencer. When did you notice that this is something that I can now do full time? When did that kind of happen?
Kind of as soon as I got married, because that's when I started earning money from what I do.
Yeah.
And good money.
Yeah. So this is now, how long have you been married now?
Almost 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And earning good money.
Yeah, I think the money thing goes, you know, sometimes it can be a lot, sometimes it can be less. I never like to, obviously, you know, money is like one of those taboo subjects, isn't it? But I carried on doing the styling things and did the influencer thing. And, you know, if you're commercially minded, you can make it work. But in all honesty, if I tell you the complete truth, I didn't approach those like campaigns from a perspective of trying to make as much money as possible. Like I was just myself, like, and it kind of worked. And I do think being quite honest and upfront about my culture and about the reality of, you know, cultural things has helped as well.
But I think, again, talking about what can be seen through is also when you accept something, not because you really like it, but because there is a lot of money in it. And I mean, let's not be like silly about it. Of course, if someone's going to come to you with, you know, a huge, you know, the promise of a huge amount of money, you will probably, I mean, you'll consider it, but you still have to find something in it that feels like it's you, because otherwise it's not going to perform.
Yeah.
Right? And there still has to be, let's say it's a fashion, you know, collection, there still has to be items in that collection that fit with what you would normally wear, or there has to be a messaging with the brand that fits the messaging that you have. Yeah. Otherwise,
it's a hard thing to get right all the time, because I've been doing this job when I had all my kids, and there were definitely moments where I was like postpartum and I couldn't really think, and I perhaps had an agent working on my side saying, right, you've got to do this job for this random brand and perhaps just went for it because I didn't, nothing too crazy, but just perhaps did something slightly, perhaps that's not solidly on my brand. But I also think it's nice to be open-minded as well. Like I'm not chasing things entirely for money. As you said, I think it is very obvious when influencers do things just for a paycheck, but I don't think there's anything like tremendously wrong with that either. But I think if you're trying to push a certain thing, then you need to stick to that and be careful who you do, like how you gear yourself.
Walk us through a typical day in your life.
So a typical day in my life, I recently love waking up very early in the morning.
Oh my God, you wake up at 5?
Yeah, I know, it's a bit nutty, but
no, but I love that
I've never
too.
been a morning person ever, and I now am on the other side of babies. So my youngest son, my youngest is 3, so everyone sleeps. We're kind of coming out of the woodwork a little bit. And I feel like this year I'm regaining myself a bit, and I found a bit of peace early in the morning, going to the gym and focusing on my health, which has been really, it sounds like, again, really like typical, but I'm just really focusing on my health now, and I really enjoy doing that. So I do that, and then I, like, either my husband, who's really hands-on like myself, takes the kids to school, and then I kind of, it really does differ day to day. Like, I've often got events, but then actually now I like to focus my days on, you know, content creation. It's filled with appointments. Obviously, I'm partial to a good facial and various hair appointments and things like that. But
that's content creation too.
Yeah,
no?
It is. But I just think,
not?
Yeah, I mean, I play paddle once a week, which is nice. Not consistently, but inconsistently. My week does vary. I've done a lot of travel recently, which has been great, but it's not always ideal to not spend time and be away from family. So it's something I like to do a little bit of, but not too much of. And then I guess, but I like to try and get the chunk of work stuff. Like, when I say worky stuff, that could include, you know, whether it's filming, editing, speaking to brands, speaking to clients, going for meetings, all of this stuff. I like to keep that between kind of 9 and 3, and then be with the kids from 3 o'clock. Sometimes it ends up otherwise, but that's kind of how it is.
It's amazing the kind of flexibility that you can have, and then I'm sure that you, just like myself, you know, you pick things back up in the evening after the kids have gone to bed. But
Yeah.
it's nice. I mean, you are effectively a freelancer, you're self-employed, so you can, you know, you can tailor your day how you want it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've just come from an event. An event is obviously something that you guys need to, I mean, there's a balance. You need to attend quite a few because it's networking. But then I guess the balance is to not say yes to absolutely everything as well, because you also want to get paid to do some work. Or am I thinking about that a bit incorrectly?
No, I mean, I guess that's right. I probably have, probably correct. I'm becoming quite precious about my time now. I'm all for going to things. It's really great to sort of keep in contact with brands, and I've got so many friends who are PRs who are and it's like this whole industry that moves together, and it's always nice mixing with other peers who are doing what I'm doing, and there's a whole kind of group of us. Often it feels like, you know, when I go to a press lunch or something, it's like, you know, going back to school. But I think none of that's a novelty for me anymore. It's nice to attend, and it's nice to sort of keep a foot in, but, you know, I'm a mother of 3. My family is a priority, and I kind of take what I want to out of it without, you know.
Yeah, I think this is slightly off script, but I'm thinking about it from a, you know, agent perspective as well, because we manage a few talent, and I think some people sometimes in your world worry that they have to go to everything and they have to be seen everywhere, whereas my advice has been, you actually don't have to. Like, it's good.
You shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. It's good to be selective, because you also don't want to be seen, no PRs are going to like me saying this, but you also don't want to be seen as that person who just comes to everything, because then you don't have to. Why would anyone give you a paid opportunity? Because you're always there and you're always posting about the brand.
Yeah.
So, excellent.
I guess, like, you know, there's like younger girls who can go to all of that, and then they've got the time to then fit all the content creation and stuff in on top of that. So they sort of can be everywhere. But for me, if I'm going to a lunch or something, like, my day ends when the kids, it kind of tapers down when the kids come back. So and also I don't, of course I do have periods of time where I obsess and I start editing in the evening, but, like, life is about quality to me, and I made a decision more recently that I'm gonna do what I love from it. I'm not gonna let this industry exhaust me for everything it's worth. I'm gonna take what I want from it and live the life I want to live, because I think there's a lot of, like, toxicity in kind of this hustle culture, which I don't want to be in.
It's interesting that you say that, because I notice when speaking to, I feel like you've got your life, you've got a good life balance, and you have an amazing husband and 3 gorgeous kids, almost 4, with a little Dosa dog who's almost like a child to you, right? But I noticed when speaking to younger girls who have kind of recently entered this industry and who are trying to juggle content creation with, you know, some sort of freelance work here and there and cobbling it all together. They're very stressed, and they're very, it's not the easiest way of, it comes across as this like most perfect way of building your life, that you're flexible and you can do what you want. But I think it can be really stressful, and it's a harsh world as well, obviously, when you're constantly, you know, in the spotlight and not just being commented on by followers, but I also know that within your peers can also have comments on what you do, and people will have opinions about, you should be going to all of these things, or you shouldn't be going to these things, and you shouldn't have put that out. Oh, you should have put that out.
Well, I think if you're an influencer, and if you take notice of that too much, I mean, I feel grateful for my little stint in television, because I think it did build me a bit of quite a hard skin of criticism, and it made me realise that wherever you are in the world, whether you're on television, whether you're at school, whether you're in a big family, you're always going to receive bitchiness and criticism.
Yeah, that's
and
a nice way of looking
quite
at it.
Quite frankly, it's actually just human nature. And you can let it limit you, or you can just kind of brush it off. And for me, as long as I'm being a good person, I'm not, you know, trying to hurt anyone. Obviously, sometimes you might say the wrong thing, get it wrong. Sometimes you might offend someone. But if you live with wholeness, nobody can really criticize you. And it's human nature. It's just human nature.
It is just human nature,
yeah.
But not everyone looks at it the same way as you do. You have a very what's the word?
A little older, a little wiser.
Isn't that the nicest thing about getting older?
So great. I'm really enjoying this time since having kids. I start a lot of my videos with, so I'm a mum of 3, which kind of makes me laugh. But I really, really feel like I'm in a different realm now, and it's so nice.
Yeah, it just makes things feel, it's a little bit like, okay, so what? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
It's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what I'm referring to, that when you are sort of 10, 15 years earlier in your career as an influencer, and you're out there and you're doing all these things and seeing all these people, everything feels like it's the end of the world. Whereas for us now, it's like, oh, fuck it.
Well, it's like Fashion Week, for example. Like,
what is Fashion Week to you, by the way?
I fucking hate Fashion Week.
Yeah. Do you stay tucked up in your lovely
awful.
new home?
Yeah, I
Stay
absolutely
away.
do. And that sounds really, I don't mean to sound like, you know, I feel like I'm better than that. I think it's really, really great. But quite frankly, Fashion Week gives me the heebie-jeebies of a time where I was basically cleaning up shit off the floor, and it just felt mean, the whole thing. It was just like this energy of like, you know, and this hierarchy of like people, and I just thought, hang on a sec, like, well, that's not who I'm not, I don't want to be a part of this like bullshit. Like, it was, I don't know, it's different now. I think with online, I think it's actually great that influencers and people who don't have kind of a degree in fashion, or like a really like 10 years at a magazine or something like that. There's a lot of people who can say a lot of things and they'll be heard, which I quite like. I'm technically one of them, although I do have a career in fashion, which I feel very proud about. But I've been sort of, I went from kind of, I used to hand out papers at Fashion Week. I've done a lot of Fashion Weeks. I've been in shows, I've been invited to shows, I've been assistant of backstage at shows with big stylists.
Does it give you a little bit of like...
It really gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
It does.
It reminds you of a time that you're happy that has passed. Or,
yeah. I just don't... I love clothes. I love, like... cheesy again, but I love fashion. I love things. I love bags. I love it all. But this whole like frenzy of Fashion Week and this like egocentric thing. Maybe it's nice to watch, but I'm quite happy to not be a part of it. I'm probably not going to get invited to any shows now ever. Now I've said that, but
no, but
who cares?
I think it's interesting. I think there's two things that I wanted to say about that. One is, it's interesting to hear you say this, because we had someone here last week who is a fair bit younger than you, and therefore, but she's also modelled for many years. but she does a lot during Fashion Week. She enjoys it, but she finds it really stressful because she's going from event to event to event, and she's sometimes getting changed to the back of a cab.
Yeah.
But she also doesn't have a family, and, you know, she has the time to do this.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear it from two very different people who have you're still both successful, but you're approaching it in a different way. And it shows that there's room for everyone. There isn't like a one size fits all. You don't have to do it like you don't have to do it like Tiger, who was here last week, to succeed. Do you sometimes feel when you get briefs from brands, do you feel like you can be as creative as you'd like? Or do you feel like sometimes it's being a little bit too directed for you in terms of how they want you to portray things?
I've never really felt overly suffocated by brands, as though I'm being told to do something that doesn't sit well with me, because I try and tend to only work for brands that there's definitely some sort of alignment anyway. So I find that the brief that comes through is often, something that I would maybe do anyway, hence why they've booked me, because they've seen, what I do and they know how it works.
And it's not overly descriptive, telling you that, where you're lucky you didn't know me when I was at Condé Nast, because the briefs that we used to send out to people, ask Alexis Foreman, it's like, and then you shoot yourself in with this background saying exactly this, and then you move on to this and you do exactly that.
Really?
Yeah. But then again, it had Vogue attached to it, so everyone was very happy to do it. But I think many people cursed me for many years for the kind of stuff I managed to put them through.
Oh my God.
With these briefs. Like, you would have received like a 30-page brief from us.
Oh wow. But I think it's the influencer world it's so different, because people are getting booked. Like, I'm not Vogue, I'm not Elle magazine, I'm not any of those things. I'm me. So
yeah. Are there expectations on the commercial side when you're being booked? I know some influencers have one of your friends, especially that we spoke about earlier, are very successful on platforms like LTK, Like It to Know It, for those who don't know, and therefore get deals based on that. Do you feel like is there sometimes an emphasis on the commercial side, or do you think that people mainly, because we try to say to brands, you either book someone from a commercial perspective, but then it has to be someone who really focuses on that, or you have to think about influencer marketing as something that first and foremost drives awareness?
I mean, I'm always of the camp, if, for example, I was starting a brand, I would, yes, of course, we need money to stay afloat, and brands need commercial interest and they need to boost sales. But I think if you're initially trying to align yourself, you'd want to align yourself with people who align with you, and that it all aligns. So, I mean, I would go with, I'm of that camp of just being aligned with the right kind of people more than, and often then the followers and the likes and the sales will come from that.
Yeah, I think it's quite unique in your industry for someone to be incredibly commercial and shift products like straight away. It's a build up to it, and I think that's what brands need to know, that it takes time to kind of build that trust. You can't just, yes, some people can post about a product and it sells out like this, but it's not a given. It's an awareness platform.
Yeah, I think so.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
We spoke a little bit about representation, and I think that I've heard there's a little bit of a trend in managing oneself recently. Does that feel right?
What do you mean, as in like influencers managing themselves?
Yeah. Moving away from having
I feel a little
management.
bit like that. So I went into management when I had kids, and I saw it as a way of help, because it's hard sort of managing creative content and then also managing your deals, which I actually did do myself. But I think now I prefer sort of having in-house help to help me with stuff like that, because
someone working directly for you, so that you can have more control over what's happening.
Yeah.
And I guess having control over your inbox and knowing who reaches out and what they ask for, and Yeah, I would find it quite scary to hand over.
Yeah, and I've spent quite a few years doing that. So yeah, I quite.
Do you find it difficult to negotiate for yourself?
No.
No.
Maybe there's times where I've undersold myself or possibly oversold myself, but that's not. I wish I could do both, but it is hard to do both. But no, I don't. I think now, especially more than anything, now I'm a bit older and I know what I want from this industry and how it works. I know my worth. I'm happy to say no to a paycheck as well.
Yeah. If you were to give a little bit of that wiseness to, well, your younger self or to those out there who are trying to...
Don't focus on the outcome, focus on the process. If you're not loving the process, like, this is not the thing for you. That goes with anything that one does. I think there's just honestly this obsession, and I probably portray that online, like, whether it comes across that I feel this way, I'm not sure, but I think there's an obsession with numbers, an obsession with that gratification and outcome, and like being, you know, this person who's liked and loved by everyone. Like, you're fucking not, and like, you don't want to be either. Like, I learned that a long time ago, and I'm still learning that, is I'm not trying to be everyone's everything.
Because that's going to drive you crazy.
Yeah, who the hell are you? Like,
but it's actually not different to what it's like for us. Like, yeah. I run a creative agency, and I wake up every morning and I wake up every morning thinking, I bloody love what I do, but like you just said, I love the process. Yeah. Because if I woke up every morning thinking about the end result, I would have closed the doors to this business ages ago, because it doesn't always go well.
No.
And you don't get deals like this. It doesn't just happen. But you then need to find a way of enjoying everything that you do to get to that, get to that point, because that's what kind of keeps you going and keeps you busy. If you're just chasing the goals all the time, or like the sort of end goal, then you've got the wrong...
Well, it's like that acquisition thing, you know, this, like, I mean, in my industry, like a lot of the girls and the bloggers, and myself included, like, they get obsessed with consuming, because as somebody who's delivering fresh content, it's kind of, it's like an underlying pressure that you've got to be, you know, showing people the new thing. And most of the time it's brands kind of giving you things, or you working with brands in order to give that brand some sort of visibility. But I think there is just this obsession with consumption. And whilst I love stuff, I'm not going to say that I don't, but it's once it comes, like, then it's like on to the next thing.
It's short, isn't it?
It's so short-lived. It's literally like a dopamine drug. Yeah. And I think now, I mean, it's like with that Hermes thing, like I managed to get my 2, and like, I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of looking at high street stuff again. I feel like it's nice to just keep it broad. And I know that it's like, it's more the process of switching things up, wearing new things. I'm all for that. I think it's great. It's lovely to wear new items of clothing and have new things in your wardrobe. It makes you feel new and great, and even like new makeup and a new makeup style. But, you know, let's not get it twisted that it's the process and not the outcome.
I've loved talking to you.
Thanks
so many wise nuggets. Thank you, Cav.
Pleasure.